On the night of June 6, 1992, in Springfield, Missouri, 3 women vanished without a trace. 47-year-old Sherrill Levitt, her 19-year-old daughter Suzie Streeter, and Suzie's friend, Stacy McCall, were last seen at their home after a night of graduation celebrations. The next morning, when friends came to pick them up for a planned trip, the house appeared strangely normal. The women's purses, keys, and cars were still there. There were no signs of forced entry, no struggle, and no obvious clue to suggest where they had gone. Over the years, the case became known simply as the Springfield Three. Despite decades of investigation, countless theories, and national media coverage, not a single piece of evidence has ever surfaced to reveal their fate. It remains one of the most haunting unsolved cases in America, a story that continues to grip both investigators and the public with its terrifying simplicity: 3 women, gone overnight, without a trace. June 6, 1992, was supposed to be a night of celebration. Stacy McCall and Suzie Streeter had just graduated from Kickapoo High School. Along with friends, they attended several parties that evening, enjoying what should have been one of the happiest moments of their lives. By around 2 a.m., the girls decided to spend the night at Suzie's home, where she lived with her mother, Sherrill Levitt. It was a spontaneous decision, one that would prove chilling in hindsight. When they arrived, everything appeared normal. Sherrill, a single mother and respected hairdresser, was home. Nothing seemed unusual. By morning, however, the women were gone. Friends who came by to pick up Stacy found the front door unlocked and the house eerily quiet. All 3 women's purses, IDs, money, and cigarettes were left inside. Even the family dog was there, unharmed. The scene was baffling. There was no broken glass, no overturned furniture, no obvious sign that a struggle had taken place. The only clue, if it could be called that, was a broken porch light outside. Some speculated it had been intentionally smashed to lure the women outside. This detail raised even more chilling possibilities. Did someone knock on the door in the middle of the night? Did the women willingly step outside, only to be ambushed? Or was the abduction carried out quietly, with such precision that no one in the neighborhood heard a sound? What made the case stand out from the very beginning was its sheer mystery. It wasn't one person who vanished, but 3, a mother, her daughter, and her friend. To this day, investigators call it one of the most bizarre missing persons cases they've ever encountered. As soon as the disappearance was reported, police began investigating. But from the start, mistakes complicated the case. Friends and family members, concerned about the women, had entered the house before authorities arrived. In doing so, they unintentionally disturbed what could have been vital evidence. Fingerprints were smudged, items were moved, and the possibility of finding clues diminished. Detectives interviewed neighbors and nearby residents. Some reported seeing a strange van in the area, while others heard nothing unusual. But no consistent lead emerged. The women's bank accounts and credit cards remained untouched, suggesting they hadn't left willingly. Investigators faced a troubling challenge. Without a crime scene, it was nearly impossible to know what had happened. Were the women abducted from inside the house? Were they lured out into the night? Or had they left willingly, only to be intercepted? Each possibility carried its own disturbing implications. The search soon expanded across Springfield. Police combed through wooded areas, lakes, and abandoned buildings, but nothing surfaced. Helicopters scanned from above, and volunteers joined in massive ground searches. Despite the scale of the effort, there were no signs, no bodies, no evidence, and no suspects. One of the most unsettling aspects was the lack of noise. In a quiet neighborhood, an abduction of 3 people should have drawn attention. Yet not a single neighbor reported hearing screams, crashes, or vehicles speeding away. It was as though the 3 women simply disappeared into thin air. As weeks turned into months, the investigation grew cold. Leads trickled in, but none proved useful. For the families, each day without answers deepened the agony. For police, the Springfield Three became a puzzle with no solution, a case that defied every expectation. Over the years, investigators developed several theories and looked closely at a handful of suspects, but none were ever proven guilty. One of the most talked-about suspects was a man named Robert Craig Cox, a convicted kidnapper and suspected murderer. At the time of the disappearances, Cox was living in Springfield and working as a utility worker. He later made statements suggesting he knew the women were dead, though he refused to provide details or proof. Authorities could never connect him directly to the case, but his cryptic comments only fueled speculation. Another theory centered on a possible stranger abduction. Some witnesses claimed to have seen a suspicious green van near the Levitt home around the time of the disappearance. Police followed up on dozens of leads involving vans, but the vehicle was never found. Still others believed the disappearance might have been tied to someone they knew. Could it have been a jealous ex-boyfriend, a disgruntled acquaintance, or someone with a hidden motive? Yet no evidence pointed to anyone in their circle. Rumors also swirled around the broken porch light. Investigators wondered if the bulb had been deliberately smashed to lure one of the women outside. If true, it suggested planning and a chilling level of patience from the perpetrator. Theories grew wild over time, ranging from organized crime connections to serial killers passing through town. But each theory had the same problem: no evidence. Without bodies, without forensic proof, police could not confirm anything. This lack of closure left the case open to endless speculation, turning the Springfield Three into one of America's most haunting mysteries. What makes the Springfield Three so disturbing is the complete absence of answers. Unlike most cases, there was no ransom demand, no communication, no evidence of robbery, and no apparent motive. The women seemed to have been taken for reasons no one could understand. Over the years, tips have continued to trickle in. Some claim to have seen the women after their disappearance, though none of those sightings were verified. Others suggested that their bodies were buried under concrete at a local hospital parking garage, a theory that gained traction but was never confirmed due to the immense cost and disruption that digging would cause. Police stated they could not justify tearing apart a massive structure without stronger evidence. Forensic technology improved in the decades since 1992, but because so little physical evidence was collected early on, new methods like DNA analysis have done little to move the case forward. The passage of time has only made things harder, as memories fade and witnesses pass away. What remains most haunting is the ordinary nature of the case. These were not women living on the edge or involved in dangerous activities. They were a mother, a daughter, and a friend, people anyone could relate to. Their disappearance shattered the sense of safety in Springfield, reminding everyone that even the most normal night can end in unimaginable tragedy. The lack of answers has kept the case alive in documentaries, podcasts, and news specials. The Springfield Three are remembered not only for the mystery but for the void they left behind, a case where the simplest details remain chillingly unresolved. More than 3 decades later, the disappearance of the Springfield Three still haunts both investigators and the community. For the families, the pain is not just in losing their loved ones, but in never knowing what happened. Without bodies, they cannot grieve properly, and without justice, there is no closure. The case has become a staple of true crime discussions, symbolizing the ultimate unsolved mystery. Law enforcement continues to receive tips even today, and the Springfield Police Department insists the case remains open. Detectives admit, however, that without new evidence or a confession, the chances of solving it are slim. The disappearance also influenced how missing persons cases are handled nationwide. It highlighted the dangers of contamination at a crime scene, as the Levitt home had been unintentionally disturbed by well-meaning friends and family before police could investigate. That mistake alone may have cost investigators their best chance at solving the case. The story of Sherrill, Suzie, and Stacy is now told as a cautionary tale, about the fragility of life, the importance of early investigation, and the chilling reality that sometimes, people can vanish without leaving a single trace. The Springfield Three remain on missing persons registries, their faces still shared in hopes that one day, someone will come forward with the truth. Until then, the question remains the same: who took them, and why? The legacy of the case is a painful one, a reminder of how even in a safe town, on a joyful night of celebration, darkness can strike and leave behind one of the most enduring mysteries in American history.